Have you ever felt it? That quiet, strange pull? You're scrolling, just passing the time, and then you see it. A headline about a tragedy on the other side of the world. A video of a political scandal imploding. A personal story of immense loss laid bare for millions. And for a moment, you stop. You read. You watch. There's a tightness in your chest, maybe a sense of pity or sadness. But there's something else there too, isn't there? A flicker of something else. It's not joy, not exactly. It's a deep magnetic curiosity, a need to consume the details. And after a few moments, you move on. But a shadow of that story stays with you. It's an uncomfortable thing to admit, even to ourselves, that we are drawn to the spectacle of suffering. We build our entire 24-hour news cycles around it. The old journalism saying, "If it bleeds, it leads," isn't just a cynical catchphrase. It's a brutally honest business model built on a fundamental and unsettling truth about human nature. Negative news consistently captures our attention more effectively than positive news. Studies have shown that headlines with negative words have significantly higher click-through rates. It seems we are neurologically wired to prioritize threats and dangers, a leftover survival instinct from a time when knowing where the predators were was a matter of life and death. Our brains, in essence, evolved to have a negativity bias. But in the modern world, this instinct has been hijacked. It's been weaponized by algorithms designed for one purpose: to hold your attention. And nothing holds attention like a car crash, a political downfall, or a distant war. Look at the events that dominate our collective consciousness. As of today, September 5th, 2025, the news is saturated with heartbreaking stories. A funicular crash in Lisbon has tragically claimed 16 lives, including tourists from several nations, leaving families shattered. In Sudan, a massive landslide has obliterated a village in Darfur, with the death toll exceeding 1,000, a catastrophe compounded by the nation's ongoing brutal civil war. Meanwhile, Pakistan is once again ravaged by extreme floods, a grim echo of past disasters, highlighting the devastating reality of climate change and the frustrating inadequacy of international aid. These aren't just news items. They are inputs into a global theater of pain, streamed directly into our minds. We consume these tragedies from the safety of our screens, and in that safety, something strange happens. We might feel a sense of relief that it's not us. We might even feel a dark sense of satisfaction if the person suffering is someone we envy or dislike, a disgraced politician, a fallen celebrity. This feeling has a name: Schadenfreude, a German word for finding joy in another's misfortune. It is the shadow emotion that thrives in the anonymity of the internet, where celebrity mishaps and public scandals become our entertainment. We see it in the comment sections, in the memes, in the relentless sharing of someone's worst day. It's a temporary boost to our own ego, a way to feel better about our own lives by comparison. But this temporary high comes at a cost. It erodes our empathy. It numbs us. It makes us spectators in a world of suffering, rather than participants in a world of shared humanity. We are becoming addicts, and the drug is the pain of others. And the dealers are the platforms and media outlets that profit from every click, every view, every second of our captured attention. This isn't a judgment. It's a confession on behalf of all of us who have felt the pull, who have doom-scrolled through a crisis, who have felt the pang of guilty relief. If this feels true, if this resonates in that quiet place you don't often talk about, then this journey is for you. We need to understand this mechanism, not to feel shame, but to reclaim our focus, to reclaim our empathy. Your support, a simple like or a subscription, is more than just a number. It's a signal that we're in this together, that we're willing to look into the shadows to find the truth. Part 2. The human mind is a strange and complex landscape. It builds elaborate defense mechanisms to protect itself from overwhelming realities. One of the most powerful is our innate tendency for social comparison. The theory, first proposed by psychologist Leon Festinger, suggests that we have a fundamental drive to evaluate our own opinions and abilities by comparing ourselves to others. In an age of social media, this drive has been put into overdrive. We are no longer just comparing ourselves to our neighbors or colleagues. We are comparing ourselves to a globally curated feed of success, beauty, and happiness. This constant upward comparison can leave us feeling inadequate, anxious, and depressed. So, where does the pain of others fit into this? It offers a perverse form of relief. When we see someone else fail, someone else suffer, it provides a moment of downward social comparison. It's a subconscious whisper that says, "See? Your life isn't so bad. You're not at the bottom." This isn't necessarily a malicious thought, but rather a deeply ingrained psychological reflex. The pleasure we might feel isn't from their suffering itself, but from the momentary elevation of our own self-esteem. Reality TV is a masterclass in this dynamic. Shows are often built around interpersonal conflict, humiliation, and betrayal because, on some level, we enjoy seeing people in these manufactured, stressful situations. It assures us of our own stability. Let's bring this out of the abstract and into the concrete. Consider the recent public scrutiny of public figures, like the case of New Zealand Green MP Benjamin Doyle, who resigned following intense controversy over their social media history. The story was dissected, shared, and debated with a ferocity that went beyond simple political discourse. There was a palpable sense of Schadenfreude in the air, a collective watch as a public career imploded. For those who disagreed with their politics or felt envious of their position, the downfall was a form of validation, a rebalancing of the scales. This is what psychologists refer to as justice-based Schadenfreude, the feeling that someone had it coming. It's a way for us to affirm our own moral compass, to feel a sense of order in a chaotic world. This mechanism is amplified 1,000-fold by the internet. The anonymity and distance of social media create a perfect breeding ground for this emotion, stripping away the empathy we might feel in a face-to-face encounter. We see it in the cyberbullying that follows a public mistake, where the pile-on becomes a form of entertainment. Each share, each mocking comment is a small hit of that same dopamine that social media is designed to provide. The result is a culture of negativity that can erode social trust and leave us desensitized. We become so accustomed to the spectacle of failure that we forget the humanity of the person at the center of it. The pain becomes content, another piece of media to be consumed and discarded. The constant exposure to trauma, even vicariously, takes a toll. Studies have found significant associations between viewing traumatic events online and symptoms of depression and PTSD. Our nervous systems don't always distinguish between a threat we see on a screen and a threat that is in the room with us. The stress hormones are released all the same, and the platforms know this. They are designed to be addictive. Algorithms learn what captures our attention, and as we've established, nothing captures it like negativity. So the cycle continues. A controversial post, a public shaming, a distant tragedy, it all gets fed into the machine, which then feeds it back to us, keeping us hooked. We are caught in a feedback loop where our own psychological vulnerabilities are exploited for engagement. The more we watch, the more we are shown. The more we are shown, the more we become numb to the reality of the pain we are observing. We begin to crave the next story, the next drama, the next hit of downward social comparison. We start to need it. Thank you for staying with me this far. This is not an easy topic to confront. It requires a level of honesty that most of us prefer to avoid. If you're still watching, it means you're willing to engage with these uncomfortable truths. I'd genuinely like to know what you think. Have you felt this pull? Do you see this dynamic playing out in your own media consumption? Leave a comment below. Your perspective is a crucial part of this conversation. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It helps push this kind of critical analysis out to more people, and frankly, it's the encouragement needed to continue this work. Part 3. So, we have a biological predisposition towards negative information, the negativity bias, and we have a psychological need for social comparison, which can lead to a sense of relief or even pleasure at the misfortune of others, Schadenfreude. But what happens when you pour the gasoline of modern technology onto these embers of human nature? You get a wildfire of vicarious trauma and emotional addiction that is reshaping our society. The architects of our digital world understand our wiring better than we do. They know that outrage is a powerful tool for engagement. Anger makes people share content more than any other emotion. Think about the structure of your newsfeed. It's not a calm, rational presentation of world events. It's a battlefield of competing emotions, and the most extreme voices often win. We are constantly exposed to carefully curated images and videos of suffering, often stripped of their context. Whether it's the war in Ukraine, the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Myanmar, or the gang violence in Haiti, the raw, unfiltered pain of others has become a daily commodity. This isn't to say we shouldn't be informed, but the way we are being informed is fundamentally changing us. Repeated, indirect exposure to traumatic events through media can lead to vicarious traumatization, producing symptoms similar to PTSD, like anxiety, depression, and hypervigilance. The constant stream of bad news can create a sense of helplessness and decision fatigue, paradoxically making us less likely to engage in meaningful civic action. The problem is particularly acute for younger generations who have grown up inside this digital ecosystem. For many teens, social media is not just a tool, it's the primary arena for social life. But this arena comes with immense pressures. Internal research from companies like Meta, formerly Facebook, has shown that their platforms, like Instagram, can worsen body image issues and are linked to anxiety and depression, especially among teenage girls. The endless scroll of idealized lives creates a constant state of social comparison that can be devastating to a developing sense of self. In response to this growing crisis, there's a burgeoning movement to regulate children's access to smartphones and social media. New York is now the largest state to ban smartphones in schools for the entire day, and there's a push for federal legislation to place mental health warnings on these platforms. But it's not just about protection from harm. It's also about what this consumption displaces. The hours spent Doomscrolling are hours not spent in face-to-face interaction, in nature, or in deep, focused thought. Our attention spans are shrinking, and our capacity for nuanced thinking is being eroded by a diet of outrage clicks. We are being conditioned to react, not to reflect. And this has profound political and social consequences. A population that is anxious, emotionally exhausted, and addicted to outrage is a population that is easier to manipulate. When we are constantly seeing the world through a lens of conflict and tragedy, our perception of reality becomes distorted. The world starts to feel more dangerous and unpredictable than it actually is, which can fuel fear, tribalism, and a desire for simplistic, authoritarian solutions. Let's be clear, the platforms are not neutral. Their algorithms are not benign. They are programmed to maximize engagement, and that maximization often comes at the expense of our mental well-being. The very design of features, like infinite scroll and push notifications, is intended to create a compulsive loop. We get a small dopamine hit from a new notification or a shocking headline, which keeps us coming back for more, even if the overall experience makes us feel worse. It's a cycle of addiction, and it's one that is incredibly profitable. In the US alone, the largest social platforms bring in billions in advertising revenue just from users under the age of 18. We are not the customers here. We are the product. Our attention, our outrage, and our addiction to the pain of others are being sold to the highest bidder. And in the process, our collective mental health is paying the price. Part 4. It would be easy to end this here, to lay the blame squarely at the feet of big tech and the relentless news machine, to paint ourselves as helpless victims of a sophisticated system of psychological manipulation. And to a large extent, that narrative is true. We are up against forces with immense resources and a deep understanding of our own vulnerabilities. But to stop there would be to miss the most uncomfortable and most important part of this story. It would be to ignore our own complicity. This entire ecosystem, this global theater of pain, doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists because we feed it. Every click on a tragic headline, every share of an outrage-inducing post, every moment spent watching a stranger's downfall is a vote. It's a signal to the algorithm that says, yes, more of this, please. We have collectively trained the machine to show us the worst of ourselves, because the worst of ourselves is what we have proven we cannot look away from. The mirror is in front of us, and for the first time it is reflecting not just our own image, but the image of our collective consciousness. And it is not always a flattering picture. The hard truth is that our addiction to other people's pain is also a flight from our own. It is a distraction from the quiet anxieties, the personal disappointments, and the existential dread that hums beneath the surface of modern life. It is easier to feel outrage about a conflict thousands of miles away than it is to address the conflict in our own homes. It is easier to judge the moral failings of a public figure than it is to confront our own. The pain of others becomes a buffer, a spectacle that keeps us from having to sit in silence with the complexities of our own lives. We consume their reality to avoid our own, but this avoidance has a cost. It disconnects us. It makes us passive observers in our own lives. We become so saturated with virtual trauma that we have little emotional energy left for the real people around us. The world becomes a show, and we are just the audience. But we are not just the audience. We are the actors. We are the writers. We are the directors. This digital world is not something that is happening to us. It is something that we are co-creating with every choice we make. So, what is the way out? It's not about unplugging completely. It's not about becoming uninformed or burying our heads in the sand. It is about becoming conscious consumers. It is about intention. It is about recognizing that pull for what it is. An ancient survival instinct being exploited for profit, and choosing not to indulge it mindlessly. It means actively seeking out positive or solution-oriented news. It means setting limits on our consumption. It means curating our feeds to reflect the world we want to live in, not the one that fear and outrage want to sell us. It means finding the courage to turn our attention away from the spectacle and towards the meaningful, the tangible, the real. It means choosing to engage with our own lives with the same intensity that we give to the lives of strangers on a screen. The system is designed to make us feel powerless, but our power lies in the one thing they can't take from us, our attention. Where we choose to place it is the most profound political, social, and spiritual decision we make every single day. We can continue to feed the machine that profits from our addiction to pain, or we can choose to starve it. We can choose to build communities based on empathy rather than outrage, on connection rather than comparison. The choice is ours, and it is a choice we make with every scroll, every click, every moment of our conscious lives. The final question, then, is not what they are doing to us, but what we are going to do about it. When you turn off this screen, what will you choose to pay attention to? If this message resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And in the comments below, answer that final question. What will you choose to pay attention to?